Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Patton and today we're going to be learning about hydrogen fuel cell cars. My goal of the presentation is to show you some of the up and coming technologies that are being created and how cars may possibly be powered in the future. We're going to be going through how they work, the advantages of them, some disadvantages of them, and then also how they're being used in cars today. So how they work. This whole thing is called a fuel cell. And then it has hydrogen, H2, being pumped into it. And it passes through what's called a platinum catalyst, which separates the H2 into H+, and then E-. The H+ is being forced this way due to the oxygen that's coming in and the low electron negativity of it. And then also hydrogen doesn't want to be by itself, and it always wants to bond. It never wants to exist alone in the atmosphere. So the H+ is going forced this way through what's called a proton exchange membrane, which only positive atoms can be passed through. So the E- are forced this way through either a light bulb, a battery, an electric motor, whatever you want to power in this case. And then they meet up with the H+ that goes through here, and then they form H2 again, and then they mix with the oxygen coming in and then form H2O, or water. And then water's outputted through the tailpipe, so your only emissions is water and not carbon dioxide or other harmful gases. So to see how this works in a car, you have your fuel tanks here, which there's two of them and not one, because if you had one giant one, then you'd have like a very bulky car, so they want smaller ones, that way you can try and slim down on the car. And then the hydrogen is pumped into the fuel cell stack, which has many of the fuel cells that I just explained. And then the power either can go to the battery to be stored for later, or it can go directly into the electric motor and then be used for instant power. So let's see some of the advantages of them. One of them is that it has a longer range than most electric vehicles. Most electric vehicles can only go for like 100 to 200 miles, or 100 to 200 miles, because you can only hold so much power in a battery. Where the hydrogen is constantly supplying the power to the battery, so you're always charging it. Another advantage is that batteries don't perform very well in cold weather, so whenever it's cold out, your battery output goes down and it's not as powerful as it could be. Then also, whenever your battery starts to lose power, they don't work as strong as they do whenever they're on full charge. Another one is that it has a lot of low-end torque, which increases your acceleration and makes your car faster. And then also, like I said earlier, your only emission is water, so it's good for the environment. And also, there's lots of hydrogen around us, so it's a very plentiful atom. So you don't really have to worry about running out of it like you do with gas or oil. Now, some of the disadvantages are that there's not very many places where you can just go and pump up your car with hydrogen. So as they become more popular, they have to start implementing that and putting hydrogen into your local gas stations. Also, since this is a new technology, the technology is very expensive. For instance, the Toyota's version of a hydrogen fuel cell car, right now costs $57,000, which is a pretty steep price for a car. Also, to separate the hydrogen atoms, because since it likes to be bonded with other atoms, like oxygen to be water, you have to use fossil fuels in order to separate it. Then also, because you're using other fuels to separate it, the hydrogen, instead of becoming a fuel source, starts to become a fuel storer, and then it's just kind of transporting it through, and then you're not really benefiting from the hydrogen since it's just using whatever way you're breaking down the hydrogen. Also, it's very flammable and explosive, so transporting is very dangerous, and that can cause a lot of problems. Also, when you're transporting it, it's very light, so it's hard to pump through pipelines or anything like that since of how light it is. And then also, like I said earlier, there's no infrastructure. Since gas is so large and everyone wants to use gas, it's hard to replace that since it's been around for how many years. So it's going to take a lot of money to start taking down gas and using more hydrogen. Now, how are they being used today? The Toyota has a version, which they made the first actual production car, which 700 of them were produced in 2015, and it costs around $57,000. And basically a Prius. It looks just like it, except it's ran on hydrogen fuel cell cars, so it's pretty much the same as a regular car. Honda has a version of them, which they currently, I think they have like 100 of them being used in Europe right now. And then something I found interesting with it is that it has 221 foot-pounds of torque, which is a pretty substantial amount for a car, especially a smaller sedan like that. And then Hyundai also has one, and something I found interesting about their version of the car is it has a 38-gallon tank, which is pretty substantial, being most cars today only have like 15 to 25-gallon tank. So it has a 38, which is a pretty substantial amount. And then this is the Toyota Mirai. As you can see, it looks just like a normal car. There's the Honda's version of it. And then there's Hyundai's. Hyundai's is actually a crossover, so which is different than the other two, which are sedans. So I hope that by my video you've learned something, and hopefully you can see the future of cars. Do I think hydrogen is probably going to be used a lot more? Probably not, because of how hard it is to separate it and how you're not getting really anything out of it. There's probably more sources that you can use as a fuel instead of hydrogen, such as methanol, which is being tested right now. And then, thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.